Hi guys, and welcome to another kit review. So today we're having a look at a kit from Miniart, and the kit number is 35095. It is in 1/35 scale. It is their MB Type 170V Personwagen, which is basically a Mercedes-Benz 170V four-door sedan. Okay, and in this particular kit you also get 5 civilian figures as well. Please ignore the fact that it says $70 here. That's $70 Australian, which I did not pay. I got this off the internet, usual auction site, for a lot less than that. Okay, so as you can see over here, contains 46 PE parts, 320 parts altogether, including 5 figures. Okay, so this particular kit came out in 2012 along with 2 other Type 170Vs which Miniart released. One was a German staff car cabriolet, which I have done a review of, and the other one I believe was another type of German staff car which I have never got and have no intention of buying, so we'll leave that one as it is. Okay, so as you can see, it does include these 5 civilians. I have done a review of these 5 civilians as a separate kit. Now the separate kit number is 35086, and it came out in 2013, and so I won't concentrate so much on the figures in this particular one. Let's just say that the faces do leave a lot to be desired. Okay, so as you can see, alright, that is the car that you're going to have. This one is in overall black, which is actually not a bad color at all. If you can get gloss black to shine like that, which is always a difficulty with any kind of model paint, unless you put a lot of time and effort into polishing her up. So we'll see what other color schemes are available for this vehicle. Right, so that's the cover art. Let's have a look at the sides. So on the side you've got Ukrainian, Russian, English, usual unassembled plastic model kit, number of parts, not suitable for people under the age of 14, warnings again, not suitable for anyone under 3, Miniart's address in the Ukraine, and on the other side there we have 2 more versions. That is most unusual. I don't think I've ever seen a picture of a German staff car with crosses on it, but we shall see what markings that one is for. And of course a medical car as well. Alright, so that's the sides, that's the top. Let's have a look inside and see what I got. Okay, so I'm going to put these away because this was a bonus with the car, so I might do a separate review of those. I always like my bonuses, and there is one particular dealer who always throws in extra parts, whether it's PE, add-ons, whatever, so I'm always keeping an eye out for their kits when they come online. Alright, usual instructions from Miniart, and same as the cabriolet kit that I reviewed, everything is in the same bag and hopefully not with the same problems. Okay, so let's get that out of the way, get the box out of the way, and in a second we will have a look at the instructions and the decals. Okay, so let's have a look at the instructions. Right, so first off we have got the ambulance. It says ambulance, but it would be just a medical car. France 1940 in overall dark grey with of course the red crosses on it. Down the bottom you have your colour callouts. These are in Vallejo, Testers, Tamiya, Humbrol, Revell, Mr. Colour. Also English name for the colour and Ukrainian Okay, so color call outs throughout, which is good. I like that. So that would be different to make an ambulance vehicle rather than a standard civilian or military staff car. Let's have a look inside. Not much there. On the back, here we have, yes indeed, let's have a look at these first. Germany, 1945, all over black, civilian number plates. Eastern Front, 1941, all over grey, Luftwaffe number plates. And this one here is Eastern Front 1942, which, like I said, I've never seen a German car with those crosses on it, but I could be wrong. This is in all over grey with green splotches, and this is a Wehrmacht staff car. Okay, plus the paint callouts and assembly of your 5 civilians. So in this kit you get a civilian policeman with or without steel helmet, one gentleman looking very dapper and suspiciously like a certain German leader photo that I've seen, one elderly lady, one middle-aged lady I'll say, and one senior Hitler youth. Okay, so that's the figures that you get with this kit as a bonus. Let's have a look at the instructions. Usual Miniart. This is your sprue layout, including your PE and your clear parts. Okay, and construction starts as usual with their very detailed engines. So Miniart always, from what I've seen so far anyway, gives you a nicely detailed engine, all the separate parts. Okay, so if the opportunity presents itself, you can display the engine with the bonnet open. Okay, so that's not bad. I love a detailed engine, does give you that option. Okay, so then move on to the chassis, and you do have PE parts which go onto this chassis, so that's something you're going to have to keep an eye on as the callouts for your PE parts go through. It does have here brake hoses for the wheels as well, so that's a detail that a lot of vehicle kits leave off. All right, so that's good. Miniart always gives you quite a detailed chassis and engine in their vehicles. Can be a bit fiddly. Okay, so as I said, this is one of 3 Type 170Vs which were issued in 2012. So construction of the chassis and engine is exactly the same in each kit. Okay, so if you've seen one of my other reviews, you'll see how this all goes together. Engine goes in the chassis. Okay, drive axle, front suspension and steering. This is your exhaust pipe. It does have PE parts. All right, that's your clamps for attaching it to the chassis. Okay, once that's attached, here we have your front bumper, and then the whole lot goes and gets attached to the actual body. Okay, so up until this point it's exactly the same as the German staff car review that I did just recently. So yep, nothing fancy, nothing unusual there. This is your fuel tank. So the Mercedes-Benz did have a fuel tank on the front of the firewall. Okay, so in order to put petrol in the car, you had to lift the bonnet, which would have been inconvenience to say the least. Okay, so we'll carry on with that. So once you've attached the fuel tank and the tools, the front of the passenger compartment gets attached to the body. You go onto the seats. You do have PE parts for the seats. Now regrettably with Miniart you do not have any replacement plastic parts. You must use the PE parts. There is no alternative, which is a bit of a drawback unfortunately, because if you're not good with PE, you can probably, yeah, there's not much you can do. you will need to use it if you want the model to turn out the way it's supposed to, unfortunately. Okay, so once the seats are in, you get to the body, and this is a hardtop, four-door hardtop, so you do have a rear window and a front windscreen to go in. You do have a PE rear mirror that goes on to the front windscreen, so that could be a tricky part. Instruments go in. You don't get decals for the instruments, so they will have to be painted beforehand. Okay. Tyres are 4-part with hub, so you will get a really nice tread pattern. Okay. Tyres are attached to the chassis. Front radiator shroud, PE. This is your front radiator grille, and there is no plastic alternative, as I said, so you will have to use that. And you do have the PE Mercedes badge as well to fiddle with. Okay, spare tyre, fairly straightforward. If you take your time, you won't probably have a great many dramas. There is a PE horn ring on the steering wheel. Okay, you don't get a driver with this. If you want to put a driver in, you'll have to source a driver from your spares box. Then you get more PE parts, which are the clips and clamps for the sides of the bonnet. Alright, so a little bit more care. I suggest getting yourself a really fine pair of tweezers with a very fine tip on them, because these are quite small and fiddly. Okay, so finishing off the engine bay with the engine supports. I mean this cross support here. Okay, a lot of car kit manufacturers actually forget these. Give you a great engine, but don't put these in. If you want to display this properly, you need to have those braces in. Alright, so here we have the bonnet, and this is your choice of having it closed, not seeing the engine, or as you can see, the side folds up onto the top, which folds over onto the other side. Okay, this is how it was done, and that's the only way you can display this engine properly. Then we get onto the doors, and you do have a luggage rack as well. That's what this is, a luggage rack and luggage. Alright, so that would normally go on the back of the car, but if this was a military car, I guess you could still put it on. I have seen photos of military staff cars, etc. with these on, but you'd have to want to check your references. Okay, spare wheel goes on, doors go on, and I'm not sure about the windows, whether you can have them down or not. That's going to have to be an internet reference if you do put them down, as to whether any of the actual glass is showing when the window is wound down on the actual car. Okay, so doors, rear luggage, spare wheel, and that's just about it. There isn't that much to put together. Doors go on. Okay, if you want to, you can leave the doors open. Alright, so these are basically what you would call suicide doors. The front door swaying open, this backwards, and the back door swaying that way, coming together. You note that this have a no tech light, and it does have a PE bracket. Alright, so that will be fiddling it as well. And apart from that, luggage rack, that's an option. You don't have to put that on if you don't want to. Other doors, and then she's done. 48 steps. Okay, it is complex only because it does have all that PE, 46 PE parts, so something to be aware of. Take your time. I would say this is not a weekend kit for your average modeler. Someone who's been dealing with PE a lot probably wouldn't have that much of a drama, but that comes entirely down to how you want to build this. I would probably take myself I would probably take a couple of weekends to get this kit right. Okay, so that's the instructions. I do love the color call outs actually in color. It gives you a good idea of what the car is going to look at once it's finished. All right, so let's put that out the way and let's have a look at the decals. Okay, so these are the decals. Okay, so this is a 2012 issue and it's only 8 years old, but already what should be white number plates and white crosses have already gone yellow. Okay, they've already got that yellow tinge to them, and I find it hard to believe that that is what they should have been like. I believe they were white in reality, so that just means these particular decals are not that great. I do like the fact that you get a variety of number plates, but the fact that they've gone yellow already, that's disappointing. Actually, that's really disappointing. Alright, so I'll put that there, and then at the same time, here is your PE. So it does have plastic coating both sides. That is your front radiator grille, that is your horn ring, and that right there is your Mercedes-Benz emblem, sorry, that goes on top of the radiator. These are your seat braces and other straps and clips, etc. for around the vehicle. So that's your 46 PE parts. Okay, so if you're not that experienced with PE, alright, I would suggest just take your time. Some of these are really tiny. Like I said, get yourself a very fine pointed pair of tweezers. Okay, so that's your PE and your decals. I'll give you a shot of those. Okay, so let's have a look at the sprues. Alright, so anyone who's seen my review of the German staff car, MB 170V from Miniart, which was released at the same time, will remember that it was a cabriolet and that the windscreen sides were all bent and twisted, and that the front is pushed in. So even though they packed in a cardboard box, alright, the cabriolet body was damaged. This, on the other hand, is in really good condition. So I put that down to, in that other kit, just to the person who was packing it. It's obvious it was just jammed into the little box. Okay, so I do like that. It's really nice. I can only see a very faint, I don't know if you can see it, line down the middle, which is part of the molding. Right, so that's the body, and that's actually quite good and nicely square, which will help quite a lot. Next we'll have a look at, chassis, bonnet, body bottom, okay, exhaust pipe, instruments, steering wheel, bumpers, and radiator. Okay, so let's have a close look. Pretty much the same as the other 170 I reviewed from Miniart. Really nice detail, fairly smooth, a little bit of flash on things, but nothing major. There's no texture as such apart from the cushion ribs on the seats. The instruments, which I'll turn around here, so the instruments are molded in, so they'll have to be painted, and I would suggest once they're painted, a drop or two of clear into the instrument itself will make it shine just like it had a glass covering. Alright, these are your bonnets, of course, and your chassis. So again, there is a line along the chassis, and I'm not sure if that's a mold line, but I would probably clean that up a bit because it looks to be quite excessive. And really nice radiator grille mesh texture there. Steering wheel I love. Okay, really nice. So I can't fault the detail. There is an excess of molding pips and things on some of this that will require a bit of cleanup, but apart from that, I do like the detail that Miniart does put in. I do enjoy the full engine that they do put in. Okay, so next sprue out, doors, door inners, engine. That is your luggage rack, petrol tank, springs, etc. Fittings for the actual engine. Right, so let's have a closer look. Alright, let's have a look at the doors. Yeah, nicely molded. Can't really see any major flow lines. Do like the door pockets. That's a really nice texture for the door pocket. Let's go over to the engine. Really nice engine detail, especially the sump and the bolts, etc. So they do give you a nicely detailed engine. Lots of small parts with heavy connections to the sprue, so they'll need care. These are your back springs for the chassis and your luggage rack with the Mercedes-Benz badge. Okay, so the detail on these is really nice, but you'll have to take a bit of care getting some of the smaller parts off the center of that sprue there. Alright, so next sprue out. Okay. 2 plus 1. This is your spare tire. These are your normal tires and seats. So we'll put these ones aside and let's have a look. So again, move that out of the way completely. Again, no texture on the seat, but it does have the ribs in the cushion, which will pick out quite well. You can see there the handles for the doors. So the connection to the sprue is quite heavy, especially on some of the smaller parts. That will take a little bit of work to get off without breaking. There's your tires. So like I said, 4-part tires. Oh, sorry. And let's see if I can get it close enough so you can see it. It does have, come on, get close, the manufacturer's name and rating on the tires. Okay, there you go, really nice. That's a good detail, right? All tires should have that on them, even if they're on a military vehicle, because tyres were made by a commercial factory, not by the military, so still got to advertise it. Okay, so I do like that detail. Right, so next and last sprue to do with the actual car is the windscreen, which is quite clear and surprisingly unmarked, seeing as Miniart threw everything in the same bag without any protection. Okay, so I think they have improved their packaging, but putting everything in, especially clear parts which are quite fragile and soft to scratching, bad move. But I do like those. They are looking really nice and clear and sharp. Okay, so that's the clears. And the only other thing I've got to show you for this kit is the bonus figures, which are your civilians. Okay, so you have got, sorry, this is your policeman, your well-dressed gentleman, your Hitler Youth, your elderly lady, and your middle-aged lady. Now, if you've seen my other review, you'll remember that the faces are the thing. Okay, see if I can get this one close to you. That is supposed to be a middle-aged woman. It looks more like a man with long hair. That is your elderly lady, and she looks, well, a bit like Einstein, best I could come up with. Alright, so the detail on the clothing is really nice, but the faces on the women leave a lot to be desired. Let's have a look at the guys. There is a bit of flash on around the heads. So this is your Hitler Youth, and he looks very old, so he must be a very senior Hitler Youth. That is your middle-aged gentleman, that's not too bad, and your policeman. So their faces are not bad, and the detail on the uniform and on the clothing is really good. So unfortunately, like a lot of manufacturers, Miniart hasn't quite got female faces to the point where you can say, yes, that's a woman, that's a man. They're all very masculine. So one day, perhaps, one day. Anyway, that's the figures. I'll give you close-ups of all this stuff anyway, so you can have a really good look for yourself. Like I said, the detail on the clothing is really nice. Okay, so even though the faces aren't great, you could probably replace those possibly with the resin or something like that and make some really nice figures. Alright, so that is that, I think. Yep, that is Miniart's MB Type 170V Personwagen, Mercedes-Benz 170V, late 1930s, four-door sedan. And yes, you can either have a civilian or a military version of this. Okay, and that brings us to the end of this review. Hope you guys got something from it. And as usual, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.